you have a massive amount of accumulation on all the new nine. Um, GB, IBIT and Fidelity FBTC, they're raking in about 200 to 175 million per day on average on every trading day. And if you calculate that in BTC terms, that's about roughly almost 9,000 coins, and we're producing 900 a day. So
Mm.
you can see that it's not sustainable, and there is going to be a supply crunch because you have this massive amount of demand. In the past, we've seen 20x in 9 months, and I think with this new source of demand, you can easily 20x in weeks. 20x from, we're basically almost at 50K, so 20x 50K is a million. If we get to 100K, which I think is very possible, then it's just 10x to 1 million.
Samson Mow is the Chief Executive Officer of Jan3, a Bitcoin-focused firm fully committed to the acceleration of hyper-Bitcoinization. As the firm's CEO, most of Samson's work involves working with nation-states to facilitate Bitcoin adoption. According to his Twitter profile, Samson is the architect of El Salvador's popular Bitcoin bonds and has worked closely with President Nayib Bukele in furthering the country's adoption of a Bitcoin standard. Samson has also recently worked on orange-pilling top government officials from countries like Indonesia and Madeira, an autonomous region of Portugal that recently announced a string of Bitcoin-friendly policies, including tax exemptions for Bitcoin investors. Like many other Bitcoin investors, Samson is extremely bullish about Bitcoin in 2024 as a result of what he describes as an impending hyper-supply-demand imbalance. Samson has been talking about how great spot Bitcoin ETFs will be for Bitcoin prices since at least 2021. Now that the US Securities and Exchange Commission has finally given the green light, he has become even more bullish and certain about how the unprecedented demand for the leading cryptocurrency could push prices well above new all-time highs in 2024. Samson is predicting a 20x Bitcoin Omega candle that would take the cryptocurrency to $1 million per coin. In a recent post on X, the Jan3 CEO identifies 6 things normies don't know about what's happening with Bitcoin prices in 2024. He mentions Bitcoin's supply-demand imbalance, average daily net inflows of $400 to $500 million from ETFs, the 2024 halving event, and what it means for demand, and the fact that there are only 21 million coins against an infinite amount of demand for Bitcoin. Lastly, Samson mentions the Omega candle that would cause Bitcoin prices to shoot up rapidly in weeks as demand continues to surpass supply significantly. Samson recently interviewed with Swan Bitcoin to discuss his ultra-bullish predictions for Bitcoin, as well as his several bullish indicators for the leading cryptocurrency. As we bring you clips from the interview, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations, and check out our other videos on Bitcoin and the overall digital assets space. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
Someone commented on my post, and he's saying, what are I think I said, all indicators are pointing in a very bullish direction, and he asked what indicators. So I just broke it down for him and wrote down all those different things. But this is really what I look at when I'm trying to figure out where Bitcoin is going. And all of those things are going up. Hash rate is going through the roof. And I think you guys are contributing to some of that, right? With your new
Swan
mining, right? So it's your fault too. But, the 200-week moving average, people kind of forget that. But it takes like a 10 sigma event to break the 200-week moving average, right? It's very uncommon that we dip below that. And that's trending upwards steadily. I think it's at 30 something now. But you have some crypto analysts saying, well, we're going to go to 20K. But that's far below 200-week moving average. So it would take some massive scandal FTX level times 3 to push us down there. And I don't think that's possible at this point. Basically, every indicator is signaling that people need to move out of fiat into Bitcoin, right? Like the debt GDP ratios, it's going up. The money printing is going up. The money supply is increasing. All of this stuff is increasing at the same time that Bitcoin is becoming more robust, more resilient, and we're getting the halving in less than 3 months now. So it's setting up for a very bullish takeoff of Bitcoin. And I think this is what's going to trigger that Omega candle that I've been talking about. Well, I think ETFs go after a different market. I'm sure there are some high net worth Bitcoiners that are possibly divesting into it so they can leverage in the TradFi system. because now you can borrow against it easily, right? If it's a
Yeah,
ETF product.
100%.
I think it's also for estate planning, because if it's sitting in the ETF, then it's easier to, it's minimizing some risk of single point of failure if something happens to get hit by a bust or whatever. So possibly we're seeing that kind of diversification happen with Bitcoiners, but by and large, the ETFs are marketed towards boomers, pension funds, institutions, even other companies to hold. And I think that has yet to really hit the market. Once we see the pension fund money trickling into the ETFs, and they take time to decide, right? But
Right.
that simple act of pensions buying Bitcoin is going to trigger this massive supply shock and demand surge, and it's going to happen very rapidly, because there's this sort of a weird thing. Maybe you can call it, maybe it is the Veblen effect. But as the thing becomes more valuable, the more people want it. But it's gonna the pension funds coming in is going to drive the price up, and that's going to signal to other pension funds. So I don't know if it's a Veblen signal or what, but there's got to be some new terminology that we create here. But as the Bitcoin price goes up, more and more people are going to start looking at this. And then you have this sort of threshold at which we cross gold market cap, which indicates to the world that this is the new gold. And I've called that the Veblen threshold. But that's sort of an anchoring point at which you don't want gold anymore. This is gold, and you need gold. And that puts us on the same footing as the demand for gold for nation states, because their treasuries are still accumulating gold. A lot of countries like China are rapidly trying to get gold and buy a lot of gold. So now they need to look at Bitcoin. The best indicator for China is really to look at Hong Kong, and you're seeing like 3, maybe 4 now spot ETFs being produced and going to market soon. And that essentially is allowing mainland Chinese money to access Bitcoin in legitimate institutional product. So the tides are really turning, and Bitcoin is becoming that reserve asset of the world. So the question is when it happens. And I think when that happens, it's going to be explosive. It's not going to be this slow, gradual, plodding trek upwards. It's going to happen as a step function where we just go up very rapidly to 100, and then from 100 you go up very rapidly again to 500, and so on.
Samson is not alone in his ultra-bullish stance on Bitcoin in 2024. A few days ago, Gemini co-founder Cameron Winklevoss also tweeted about how remarkably bullish the unprecedented demand from the Bitcoin ETFs will be for price in 2024. His tweet reads, "Bitcoin ETFs are taking 10x more Bitcoin off the market than are being minted daily. If these inflows hold through the halving, then Bitcoin ETFs will be taking 20x more off the market than the daily mint. I like where this is going." When another Twitter user asks for Cameron's Bitcoin prediction for 2025, he replies with, "The moon." There is a very high chance that the inflows will continue and may even get bigger in the coming weeks. According to recent reports, Bitcoin ETFs recorded $2.45 billion in inflows last week, the highest weekly total ever since they started trading on January 11th. In addition, the competition is getting fiercer, and the ads are getting more creative. Last week, VanEck announced a reduction in the fee for its spot Bitcoin ETF from 0.25 to 0.20%. The new fees will take effect on February 21st. Yesterday, BlackRock also released a new advert for its IBIT. The simple ad features a silhouette of a runway and plane with the words, "Bitcoin ETFs have landed. IBIT, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, now lets you access Bitcoin, where you get your stocks and bonds, so you can manage all your investments in one place." The final part of the caption reads, "Get your share of progress." Many Bitcoin investors have expressed their surprise that BlackRock didn't refer to Bitcoin as currency or commodity, but as progress. Let us know your thoughts on BlackRock's latest ad as we bring you clips from another Samson Mow interview, this time with the Green Candle channel. During the interview, Samson discusses the importance of nation-state adoption and how he successfully orange pills leaders and politicians from different regions of the world.
These are very interesting times, and as you said, we as in Jan 3, we get invited to meet with heads of state and government officials all around the world. So we do get to have our shot at orange pilling them. It will take some time, I think. oftentimes people think it's going to be very fast. You'll have another El Salvador, snap your fingers, and they'll do a Bitcoin law, and we're done. But I think El Salvador is a bit of an outlier because the president was a Bitcoiner before he became president. So you have that massive advantage in understanding and knowledge of Bitcoin. Whereas for a lot of other heads of state, you have to take them through the process from zero at some points, or even worse, because they have a misformed opinion about Bitcoin in some way. So it's a lot of work and a lot of education, I would say. But overall, the sentiment I'm seeing is there's a massive amount of interest from governments for finding a way to integrate a Bitcoin strategy into their country and their economy. And we try to speed that up by helping them further understand how to use Bitcoin. So one of the big advantages we have is that Bitcoin can transform energy into money. And a lot of countries that are in the global south or developing still have actually a lot of energy, but they might be stranded. In the case of Indonesia, they have a massive amount of geothermal potential. I think there's the second highest in the world. They have a massive amount of hydropower and other renewables too. But they can't really do anything with that because you can't put it into a barrel and ship it to the US or Canada. You have to consume it. But with the advent of Bitcoin, you can now consume it, turn it into Bitcoin, and sell the Bitcoin. So what I like to do is tell them, you don't need to keep Bitcoin if you don't want to. I think it'd be a mistake not to, but you could just mine the Bitcoin, sell it all, and build your roads, airports, bridges, whatever, hospitals. And I think that gets them thinking about the potential for Bitcoin to be incredibly transformative to their economy. And I think more and more politicians are starting to understand that, especially because Bitcoin is becoming a hotter and hotter topic. Like you've seen at Miami, RFK was speaking about it, and he delivered an excellent speech, and he seems to have a very deep understanding. But more and more politicians around the world are starting to talk about Bitcoin as part of their campaign platforms. Money is easier to understand immediately versus the concept of hard money. You need to go down the rabbit hole a bit, and you have to have a deeper understanding of the fundamentals of money before you appreciate hard money. Whereas money on the table that you're just passing up because you're not taking it is a much more easily digestible concept, and it helps to align incentives far more quickly than taking them through the understanding. I think one will lead to the other. It's sort of like the joke that we say, where we came in for the gains and we stayed for the sound money and the hope, right? But if you get them mining Bitcoin just to get Bitcoin, sell it, and do other things, they'll eventually start to understand the other properties of Bitcoin. But I just see it as a far easier onboarding mechanism than taking them through. But of course, we will go there. It's just you have to prioritize your pitch, right? Oftentimes, you have 30 minutes or an hour, and you have to cram as much orange pilling into that session, but at a digestible rate where you're not, overwhelming them with details and complexity. So actually, we don't even talk about the technology. We only talk about money usually. We don't talk about the blockchain and transactions and layer twos or anything like that. We keep it very digestible, very high level, and very much focused on those incentives for them to tap into Bitcoin.
As with other Bitcoin investors, Samson is now looking forward to Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs in 2024. He believes prices will really take a crazy turn when that happens. The Jan 3 CEO recently retweeted a tweet from Alessandro Ottaviani, another Bitcoin enthusiast. The tweet reads, "Bitcoin at $52,000. What we need is an appreciation of $17,000 plus 32.7%. Once Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high, human psychology and the fact that institutional investors and boomers can get exposed to Bitcoin will make the rest, bringing Bitcoin price to levels that seem unreachable in the next months." What are your thoughts on these ultra-bullish predictions for Bitcoin? Despite the rapidly increasing demand, do you think Bitcoin can hit these price levels in 2024 or 2025? Please drop your comments and predictions for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in the comment section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.